Good morning, Steve here. Got a big job coming. It involves installing this timing cover on my Ford F-150. It's the 5.4 liter Triton variety, 3-valve. Just bought this thing. You would not believe what's wrong with the other one, but she's got a few issues. This timing cover, brand spanking new. Might recognize that logo. Doesn't really matter. The problems with this thing could be on any timing cover that you buy for a Ford. These big ones like this. Let me introduce you to some of the issues. Because this guy sure is pretty, but got to make a decision if we need to use it or send it back, because it does have some problems. You know, we could pick some fly poop out of the pepper over the finish quality, the porosity issues that it has. I think any shade tree mechanic can get around that stuff. Overall, it ain't too bad, you know. It'll do the job, but if you decide you're going to use one of these things, you got to know right away whether you should or do you need to go ahead and return it, or can you tolerate the problems that you might face in the future because you chose to use it. I'm going to use it. I'm 99.5% certain the first thing that was done when they machined this part, I'm sure it was a CNC machine, is they clamped it into the machine, referencing this side of the part, off the bosses here around these bolt holes and these gasket extrusions here. This was the initial reference point. They clamped this thing into a CNC machine, a vertical, horizontal. They might have used live tools, I don't know. The 4th axis. And they machined this side first. They then flipped it over and machined this side using the surfaces they put on the other side as the reference for this side. If you've never been around machining and fixturing before and how these things get clamped and referenced, you might not recognize the fact that something was not quite right when it was done. That should fall all the way through there. This happens to be a precision pin. Where's it at? W. That's one giveaway that something was done wrong on this casting. You know, you got to bolt it on. If you can't get the bolt all the way through the hole, either send it back or figure out how to use it. Here's another thing to alert you that maybe there's something wrong with it. You see the diameter of the tool that was used to cut this surface right here? You notice how as it goes around it gets smaller and smaller, and you're only using a portion of the tool. You're down to about 3/4 of the tool there. You got to wonder what's going on. Either the surface of this casting changed in height, or this whole part was put in there crooked. I'm pretty darn sure the whole part was put in there crooked. And as they drilled these holes, they walked a little bit on every one of these holes. And that's why the pin falls through. The chips started supporting the tool, and the tool is too small for this pin on the other side. But it's wallered out right here because it walked. This whole part was clamped in there on an angle. Let me show you what to look for if you buy a casting like this. That's a hammer mark where they hammered it into the fixture and he missed a little bit. If you come around here, as you travel down this casting, you see these shiny spots and the dull spots. Right there it's shiny. You come over to the other side here, some shiny spots right here. You come up this casting, right there. It's shiny. You see it right here? Shiny here, and it's shiny right there. Just a little shiny around that hole. See all that? That's where this casting was being clamped down to the table, the fixture, whatever they used when they machined it. This would be the block of your engine. It's going to touch all these elevated bosses around here. This is where your bolts are bolting it down. So they clamped it down here, touching right there, over here. But on the other side of this casting, it's touching there, it's touching right there, but watch what happens right here. When you come over here, it's touching, but you see that? That metal right there kept this casting from getting clamped all the way down onto this boss right here. This thing was protruding when they clamped it down. It altered the position of this whole casting. I'm pretty sure it looked just like that, or possibly like this one. And they smashed it down right there. The casting is elevated right here in the very end. And so what happened is, when they did this machining, this corner was up in the air. This corner was elevated in the air a little bit. So all of these over here are cut lower to the engine block than they're supposed to be. When they flipped it over and they did this machining right here, this part was down farther than it was supposed to be. It caused this cut right here, and this whole casting is not going to be sitting parallel to the face of your engine. I'm not too sure it's going to be that big of a deal. I'm going to use it. I'll let you know in the future if, you know, the worst thing I can expect, right, is maybe a belt alignment issue, because I can't change the pulley. This is going to be coming through, the crank pulley is going to be at a different angle than all of these other pulleys. But it'll be minimal. The biggest thing is I got to knock all this debris down, because you got to have an even compression on your gasket. Knock that, the height of that. Man, can I get that picture? Yeah, see, that is, there's a lump in the casting right there in the very end. And that right there where they smashed it. That's going to, you know, we're going to lose a little compression there. And then if you come down and you inspect these galleyways where your gasket goes, you'll see right here some debris fell in there when they casted it. It's going to alter the compression on your gasket. You come around here, and there's a pretty good sized little chunk of dirt or something that was in there when they made it. Got to get that out of there with a Dremel or something. Knock that guy off, because it might not have touched their fixture, but it might touch your engine, the face where it's bolted. The same thing here, and right there is a high spot. So knock that stuff off of there. And this thing should sit absolutely flat before you ever start torquing it down. Otherwise you might induce some stress into it. It's I think it's usable. We might not have the right gap between our phasers and these cam sensors, but who anticipated that sitting at a desk, right? The worst thing that might happen is some premature belt wear when you use one of these things. As long as you know what you're getting into, you can use anybody's part. Oh, well, close, you know. Just eyeball them over really good. Sometimes these problems are not as obvious as, others. But if you ever get a hold of a big old casting like this, make sure that if you see anything out of the ordinary, especially something that obvious, really scrutinize it. Make sure that you understand what's going on. I'll let you know in a future video. I'm going to deburr all these holes myself. You get what you pay for. That's why some of these parts are cheaper than others. Doesn't mean they won't work. Just don't stick it on there and then complain. Figure it out ahead of time. Alright, I hope everybody's having a great day. I'm about to. You see that right there? That's a clamp mark. And I'll let you guys go. Starting to warm up outside. I gotta get out of this shed. Everybody have a great day. Thanks for giving me somebody to talk to. I'm out.